There's an idea just popularized, but been around for 30 years, that congealed into a little phrase that I hear all the time, and it just sort of dawned on me like, yeah, I didn't used to hear that 10 years ago when I was working in treatment and recovery. And you'll hear therapists, clinicians, facilitators at treatment programs or transformational programs talk about being in your body. And I just, growing up, I don't remember hearing that because I felt I was always in my body, and so nobody ever stopped me and said, make sure you're in your body. But that phrase sort of crept on the scene, and at least in LA where I live, we accept it as like saying something real, but what exactly does that phrase mean? I relate it to a very famous somatic psychologist therapist. His name is Peter Levine, and he talks about trauma in the body. And the notion is we've realized that our brain, our nervous system, doesn't just consist of what's happening in our head, that our nervous system actually runs through our entire body, and then actually our whole body is one system. And so when we go through a trauma, whether it be an emotional trauma or a physical trauma, the imprint of that experience is not just in like a little invisible memory that I hold in my mind. It's actually imprinted in my nervous system, which means it's imprinted, quote unquote, in my body. And some of the ways that people adapt to traumatic experiences is to dissociate. And dissociate means to compartmentalize, to move away from, to separate from a particular experience that I'm having, right? So for instance, every night my whole body shuts down and goes into just like a temporary hibernation. We call that sleeping. Now, if I was awake for that whole process, I think I'd be terrified. I can't move, everything's happening automatically, there's weird things floating through my mind, but I actually dissociate. I actually move away from that experience of sleep into the realm of dreams and deep sleep, etc. So that's an adaptation towards states that are incredibly uncomfortable, is to dissociate. But what can happen in trauma is I can dissociate, meaning step away from an experience in such a way that when I come back, there's an experience that I haven't fully processed that starts to symptomize, that I then adapt to. It's a little bit complex, but I adapt to this experience without knowing that I adapted. The memory of that experience is actually in my brain and my nervous system, i.e. my body. And I can have so much trauma in my experience that I kind of dissociate from my body altogether, which means I don't have the kind of, let's call it head, heart, body connection that I want. I'm not fully conscious of what's happening in my system. I'm sort of just checked out, maybe living in my thoughts and ideas, but I'm not really here fully present. And to be fully alive means to be fully in your body and fully present, or you don't, because we are embodied beings. So you don't feel fully alive unless you're fully in your body. So that notion of in the body is a reminder for everybody that we have the capacity as human beings to flee to thought. That, hey, I want to bring that back to what's really going on. Well, how do I know what's really going on? How fast is my heart beating right now? How are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling fine. Wow, you're breathing really shallow. What's going on with that? And so it's bringing consciousness back to the ground of our being, which is our body.